been proven that healthy relationships help us live longer and happier lives.
But sometimes when communication breaks down, relationships can run off course.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
So our next guest holds a PhD from the University of Southern California and is the author of He Says, She Says, A Guide to Overcoming Misunderstandings Between Men and Women.
Please welcome Dr. Gary Stolman to Living Live.
Welcome.
Welcome. Are we going to call you Dr. Gary?
That's great.
Okay. Now, you have a successful practice in Beverly Hills, and you've published a book called He Says, She Says, She Says, She Says, She Says. Can you tell us about your book?
I see something already happening between the two of you here.
Lack of communication.
There you go.
When in doubt, hit, I say.
Well, in my practice, I work with individuals as well as couples, and in my book, He Says, She Says, I mainly talk about my observations in terms of what works and what doesn't work in terms of communication with couples. So
You say that holding back one's feelings, and not communicating really has a negative effect on relationships. Tell us a little bit about how you feel about that.
Well, what happens in relationships, in order to really answer that, you have to understand feelings to some degree, in the sense that feelings change over time. Right. So if your partner says something to you and hurts your feelings, those feelings of hurt soon change to anger. And then the anger, if you don't deal with the anger, it soon changes to feeling numb, where you're looking at your partner like a roommate.
Yeah.
So, for example, let's say you go to the airport, your husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, whatever's at the airport on a business trip for a week or so. You lose a few pounds, you go to the airport, you go to pick this person up, and they look at you, and the first thing out of their mouth is, you put on a few pounds, haven't you? Okay? So you're hurt, initial response. But you don't say anything because you don't want to make waves. You go home. By the time you're home, you're pissed.
Right.
But you don't say anything because you haven't seen this person for a week.
Right.
But then what starts to happen is that anger begins to consume your energy to the point where you have nothing left for that other person.
So at the airport, if someone, my husband or my boyfriend, said that to me, should I say, you know what, that really hurt my feelings. I was hoping you'd grab me and give me a big hug instead of saying something negative?
I liked what you said because not only did you say that hurt my feelings, but you asked for what you wanted.
Right.
And a lot of couples, a lot of individuals don't ask for what they want in relationships. They complain, you're not giving me this, but they don't say, could you please give me a hug? That would feel so good.
Right. And I didn't make a value judgment on what the person said to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay, now you know as well as I do that men have a little bit of an issue expressing themselves. Now, what are some of the steps that a guy could take to learn how to express himself more effectively?
Well, in expressing ourselves as men, we need to be able to talk about our feelings somewhat. And now it's very difficult because we tend to be fact-oriented. But if we talk about our feelings, say this is what we need, this is what we're feeling, women, as a general rule, will understand that. But when we come from the point of view of saying, these are the facts, and this is what I want, and this is it, as opposed to, gee, I'm feeling like I need something from you, I'm feeling lonely, will you please help me in this area? Even though it's difficult, because we're not taught to talk about hurt, we're not taught to talk about feelings other than everything's just fine, a woman will more likely understand and be empathetic to us.
I think also that a lot of men feel, when it comes to the sexual part of a relationship, that they would really like their female partner to initiate once in a while, And I think women sometimes just expect men to always be the one that says, hey, tonight's the night. And don't you think that's a problem sometimes?
Well, there's traditional roles, and I think today's society is starting to change a little bit. The younger generations, women are more likely to say, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
But, maybe some people are brought up to believe, well, you're not a nice girl if you initiate.
Right.
So I think in a relationship, everything has to be mutual, whether it's initiating sexually, whether it's doing something for the other person, whether it's initiating going out to do something. It's a relationship. It's a two-way street. It always has to be.
It has to be about mutual assent.
Exactly.
I think, helping each other up. But tell us some other ways that people, really break down their relationship, their communication.
Well, the first way that I spoke about is by not talking about our feelings in a timely manner. Another way is that we may have emotional baggage that we're not even aware of.
Oh, yeah.
So, and what emotional baggage is unresolved feelings that we may feel toward a significant other from our past that we've never dealt with. And then it comes out in our current relationship. So, for example, let's say you were brought up by a very critical father. And now you and I are in a relationship, and I say, you know, your shirt's a little crooked there, you got to fix this. Don't tell me what to do. Don't talk to me like that, because the anger that you feel toward your father then comes out toward me. And this happens with couples all the time. So in order for a relationship to be successful, each individual has to be aware of their own emotional baggage so that they don't then lay those feelings onto their partner and pull the relationship.
That's great advice.
You know, why is it so hard for people to listen to their partner when their partner is upset?
I didn't hear you.
I said, why is
it? We have a hard time listening because we don't like to be attacked. We become defensive, and we often formulate our response back. You know, but we're thinking what we want to say back to that person rather than hearing what they want to say. So there's a great story, and it's not always the case that people don't listen. Some do. And there's a story I heard about a couple, and this married couple, the husband just bought a car. And it was a brand new car, his Lexus. Nobody was going to touch it but him. And the wife said, I need your car for the afternoon. He said, no, it's my car. I don't want you to use it. And she said, just for the afternoon, please. Hesitantly, he said, okay, you could use the car, but be careful. That evening, he goes in the garage. He looks at the car. There's a scratch going from the front of the car all the way to the end.
Of course.
It's exactly what he said. And he was furious. He started like yelling at her, and she looked at him and she said, I hear that you're really, really upset. She was a great listener. And he said, you're damn right I'm upset. You know, you ruined my car. I'd give it to you for an afternoon, and look what happened. You can't even take care of it for one afternoon. And she said, well, you feel like I can't take care of anything. I'm not responsible. I don't care about you. Kept on reflective listening. And then finally, when he was done, and all this helium had come out of his balloon, and he was no longer angry, she said to him, she asked, could I say something? And he said, sure, what? He said, you know, I took the car out for the afternoon, and there was a little rattle. It's a new car, so I took it into the shop. And they said that they were going to tighten up some bolts in there. In the meanwhile, they would let me use the loaner, which was an identical Lexus. This isn't your car, honey.
Oh. Wow.
So the moral of that story is we need to be able to listen and not think about responding back or fighting back, but just let our partner say what they need to say. Vent. And once they've vented, they'll be open to hearing what we have to say.
This is such great advice, Dr. Gary. I hope you'll come back
I'd love to.
soon and often.
Often, I love
Be
to.
our counselor here.
Yes, we need it.
Thank you.
No, we would so like to thank you for coming. And if you would like more information on Dr. Gary, please check out his website at talkwithdrgary.com. And still ahead on Living Live, we'll take a look at the new Will Smith thriller, I Am Legend.
That's up next when we come back.
Stay with us.
Yeah, that's